Il en manque deux. Hein.
Mhm.
Dan, t'as là tout à l'heure.
M'entendez-vous? M'entendez-vous?
Puis, il y a Lise qui manque.
Non, je manque pas, je cite, mais ma caméra est pas. Attends une minute, je vais me réenregistrer avec l'autre. Là. OK.
Conseillère Lise, I see that you're speaking. Are you joining via telephone? I didn't understand what Conseillère Lise just said when she was on the telephone.
Her camera's not working.
Yeah,
Okay.
she said she's going to try to reconnect.
Okay.
Hey, m'entendez-vous? Je sais pas ce qui arrive avec ma vidéo, là, but.
On t'entend, Lise.
OK. Ah, there you go. Je crois que je l'ai, là. Non. Quand je pèse dessus. D'abord, vous m'attendez, je vais vous suivre jusqu'en attendant, je peux la voir, là.
Enfin, on va juste attendre une couple de secondes pour que conseiller Broly, il revienne. Donc, je crois qu'on est tous ici. Donc, bienvenue à notre réunion spéciale de conseil. Welcome to our special council meeting. Are there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Aucune déclaration d'intérêt pécuniaire? None? Is there a mover and a seconder for the agenda? Conseiller Yvon, Conseiller Denis.
It is moved by Councillor Duhaime and seconded by Councillor Denise Senecal. Be it resolved that the agenda for the special meeting of council held on August the 30th, 2021 be adopted as presented.
Madam Mayor, excuse me, I had my mic on mute. Well, for one, I'd like to raise a point of order as why the agenda of closed session was not included in this meeting. And also, I would like to propose an amendment to the agenda that we include the closed session. It's been dragging on for a long time, so I think it's time that we deal with the issue.
Okay, to respond to your question, Conseiller Broly, yes, I've been receiving some emails in a very defamatory tone, and the closed session was not added to the regular meeting because that was attempted even at a special meeting on June 22nd. And at that meeting, we didn't have the quorum to be able to proceed beyond curfew. So that is to provide the answer to your question. And I provided you with the answer to your question. Now you are asking to add an issue to the agenda, and to be able to do that, 2/3 majority are required. So is there a mover and a second? Well, you move the request. Is there a seconder? Okay, Conseiller Dan. Now to add the closed session to this agenda, need 2/3 majority. So who is in favor to add a closed session portion to this meeting? 1, 2, 3, 4, defeated. Now coming to the agenda, any objections? Aucune objection? None? On procède avec la portion régulière de la réunion. We proceed with the regular portion of the meeting. And the first issue on the agenda is correspondence and accounts. Under this item, we have a copy of the correspondence of the municipality of Temagami. And there's also copies of correspondence that were issued by the Au Château to the mayor of Temagami. And the reason this information is on the agenda is for information purpose. Council of the municipality of West Nipissing was CC'd on the correspondence. And the municipality of Temagami are identifying that they wish to discontinue their assessment portion for the Au Château. And this assessment portion basically would be a decision that lies within the hands of the province. Donc, c'est la province, le ministère de Soins de longue durée qui doivent prendre une décision concernant l'assessment, la contribution financière de la municipalité de Temagami pour l'opération de notre château pour nos personnes de foyer âgées. So until then, they are deemed to be a partner. And if they exclude themselves from being at the table, it's unfortunate, the process that they are following. However, this is not new information. They have been putting this request for the last couple of years to be removed as a partner for whatever reason from the Au Château board and management of operations. So I may ask the chair of Au Château, Conseillère Lise, did you have anything else to add?
No, you said it all, and I think it's right now our CEO is looking into it, and it's nothing new. If there's anybody that was passed on past board of Au Château, well, they know that it's an ongoing issue, and they have a contract with the ministry. Will I mean, it's the ministry that need to intervene. This council cannot do nothing, or even the board. Like we have to wait what the minister is going to say about that. And the last time I spoke with Jacques, he was in contact with ministry people to deal with that. So we'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen there, because they do have to pay. They have a contract with Au Château, and it's and the main reason is they say that they don't have anybody from Temagami and the Au Château, so why they should be paying. But there's still a program that Château offer, and I mean, there's a lot of people that don't belong in the municipality. Well, I wouldn't say a lot because I don't know the exact number, but I mean around West Nipissing, and they come to Au Château, so that's something we're also discussing. But at this point of time, Château is not in the council is not in position to reply or to do that, because that's their choice, and they decided to do it like that. But what is the ministry going to say? We'll have to wait.
Any questions or comments? None? Okay, merci beaucoup. On procède avec les affaires nouvelles with new business. And under F1, it's the first quarter financial report. So I'm just going to ask if our Director of Corporate Services, Alyssa, has joined us, and if she can walk us through the actual report.
Actually, not too much to walk you through or too much to say, because this is the first quarter, and here we are almost September. So yeah, as of the first quarter compared to our budget, there weren't any concerns there. Building and planning, even at the first quarter, was off to a really strong start. They have continued that start through the year, and that COVID was obviously still hanging around, and we still had COVID assessment costs and some COVID mitigation costs, but we do have the funding to offset those costs that we've incurred.
Joanne, on t'entend pas.
Just a second, I was on mute, remove the mute. Conseiller Yvon, any questions or comments?
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Councillor Chris?
No, thank you. I looked at it all. Looks good to me. Thanks.
Thank you. Conseiller Leo,
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Conseiller Rowley,
Everything's okay, thank you.
okay. Conseiller Dan,
Yes, that's all right.
Conseiller Denis,
No comments.
Conseiller Elise.
Well, just a comment, there's very straightforward, but is there any way we can know how much, you said keep on increasing the permit, Alicia, like, is there any way that we have a number or? I know there's a lot of construction going on, but
I don't have, I mean, usually I think about once a year, they bring the report as far as the number of overall permits and activity and value of the permits and things like that. You know, from a budget point of view, as far as their budget, they are going to greatly exceed the revenue estimates for 2021. It's been a horrendously busy year.
okay, thank you, Alicia. So through you, Madam Mayor, may I ask, I think it would be maybe the chair of the planning board to see if it's possible to have kind of a number to give us an update. It's September, but at least it's gonna give us, I understand that Alicia don't have that number, but we know they're doing well, but just, I'm just curious because there is a lot of construction going on.
Okay, well, would it be fair, Conseiller Elise, that it's duly noted at this meeting and that the report would follow a subsequent meeting?
Well, even,
that-
yeah, the chair could just give us an idea, even if it's, I'm sure that Mel is on track with that, maybe not right now, but will be approximately give us something at next meeting through the chair or even Mel send us an email. So as long, I'm just, might be curious, but I think it would be encouraging for people if they have an idea and.
Okay, well, like our Director of Corporate Services identified, it's been a good year. We'll ask for a report to come forward in September. We normally get that report from the planning department, and it's very interesting and probably good news as well to share with all our constituents. So who would be receptive in receiving that report? Who is interested in receiving an updated report pertaining to building permits and assessment values? I'm interested. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we can get that report put on the agenda for the month of September, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay, we proceed with.
No, we need to pass the resolution to receive that report.
Okay.
Order.
Okay, so is there a mover and a seconder? Conseiller Chris, Conseiller Denis.
It is moved by Councillor Fisher and seconded by Councillor Denise Senecal. Be it resolved that the 2021 first quarter variance financial report for the municipality of West Nipissing be received.
Any objections? Aucune objection? None. We proceed to item number 2, which is the bylaw 2021-58 for naming for municipal assets. So we have a copy of the proposed changes as per discussion of council. Are there any questions pertaining to the draft that is presented with the amendments?
So we.
Conseiller Yvon?
So we basically deleted the bylaw and just added a line to it, is that?
No, we kept the bylaw, but we removed lines
Oh, yeah, okay.
pertaining to the action sections pertaining to
Yeah,
the
okay,
process.
that's fine, I see it now, sorry.
Any other questions? Conseiller Elise?
Well, I just want to make sure, so because I know 4.4 is very clear because there's line all over it, but 4.5 the same, but 4.6, everything is deleted too, right?
No. It'll be advertised. Not it, no.
Well,
4.6, if you look at page 2 of the proposed bylaw, the wording was changed indicating from time to time, council may also solicit names when the municipality determines.
okay,
It is.
okay,
Okay,
Got it.
so you got
Yeah.
it?
yeah,
So
okay, sorry.
that portion was amended.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry.
okay.
Any further questions? None? Okay, is there a mover and a seconder pertaining to the actual bylaw? Conseiller Chris, Conseiller Yvonne,
Is moved by Councillor Fisher and seconded by Councillor Duhaime. Be it resolved that bylaw 2021-58 being a bylaw to establish a process for commemorative naming of municipal assets within the municipality of West Nipissing shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
quick question to council. We received a request from the Levy family dating back in March. Are we comfortable in proceeding with the request for our next meeting, since they have submitted all the required information that council needed to be able to proceed with a decision? Would it be fair that that request can be added to our agenda, our next regular meeting in September? No objections?
I agree.
Okay, so we'll make sure that the request from Levy family is added to our next regular meeting. So coming back to the actual resolution, are there any objections? Aucune objection? None? Carried, adopté. On procède avec F3, the award of quotation for the Verner Garage project. I saw that our CEO, Jay, was part of the meeting just a while ago. Who will be talking to that effect, to that matter? Can I pass it on to you, Jay?
Well, firstly, a couple meetings ago, just for clarity, you didn't want to be called your first name. I think it's too informal. I'd rather be referenced to Mr. Barbo going forward. But I think Sean is here, and Remiard could speak to it.
Okay, well, I didn't see Mr. Ramial. Okay, there is Mr. Ramial right now. So Sean, if you can walk us through. Okay, sorry, am I missing? I'm just, before passing it to you, Sean, is there something I've done incorrectly, Mr. Barbo?
I just think that if you want to formalize things at a council meeting, your worship, I think we should be changing our procedures going forward to something a little bit more formal. It's
Okay,
Mr. Remiard, and that would actually clarify our Director of Corporate Services name is Miss Craddock, and then you won't.
Okay, so you know what? Please proceed in making sure that we can maybe have that discussion at our first meeting of September. So this way we'll all be on the same page. I have no objection, but please add the issue of the procedures to our agenda for September.
It's just a formality, the same way you corrected me a few
Let's
minutes ago.
proceed
Thanks.
with this portion of the meeting as per the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Barbo. So I'm going to pass it on to you, Mr. Damiar.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
We should read in the resolution before we have the discussion.
Yes. Would there be a mover and a seconder for the resolution? To
Okay.
discuss it, we need a mover and a seconder. Conseiller Yvonne and Conseiller Denis.
It is moved by Councillor Duhaime and seconded by Councillor Denis Senecal. Whereas requests for quotations for the Verner Garage expansion project were opened in July 26, 2021 by the Supervisor of Public Works, for the Manager of Public, was the Supervisor, and the Director of Corporate Services, and whereas 2 quotations were received, and whereas the quotations have been reviewed by the Manager and the Supervisor of Public Works and the Director of Corporate Services, and the award being recommended herein consists of the best prices meeting all specifications, and whereas Council concurs with the recommendation received, be it therefore resolved that the quotation for the Verner Garage expansion project in the West Nipissing municipality be awarded to Capital Construction, having submitted the lowest quotation of $618,536 plus HST meeting all specifications.
Okay, so I'm going to pass it on to our Manager of Public Works, Monsieur Remiard, because I believe the contentious issue is the allocated budget for this project. and the quotation received, which exceeds the budget allocation. And if there's any other contentious issues that council needs to be aware, so we can proceed with that discussion. So I'll pass it on to you, Mr. Damiao.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Good afternoon, councils. Madam Mayor, we received the quotation from the proponent, which is, as you all know, significantly higher than what the actual budget was. So when we do budgeting, the estimated cost was provided by the engineer, the consultant. Now, obviously, at the time, the consultant did not predict a pandemic, and couldn't predict the supply and demand issues that we face today. We've since learned that since receiving the quotation last Friday, the supplier for the steel building indicated that there would be an additional 8% added to the building if the order wasn't placed prior to August 27th. Now, I did reach out to the builder who contacted the supplier for the steel building, and they did get us an extension until after the meeting today. That said, I'm not sure if we want to go through line item by line item of the contract, but I don't think that's necessary. So that basically what has happened is that, prices have gone up significantly because of the pandemic. The unfortunate part is that, we've kind of been pushing off this building and pushing off, at some point in time, we'll have to address these buildings and if specifically this building, if we don't address it, I'm of the opinion that I won't have a choice but to bring in somebody to do a structural analysis, and we could be forced into kind of mitigative measures that could be saved should we go ahead with completing the project accordingly. I'll leave it for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Damiao. I'll open the floor to members of council. Just a point of clarification before doing so. What was the allocated budget for this project?
400,000, I believe, is Elisa can probably correct me on that.
So we'll go with approximately 400,000, which was budgeted for this project, for this building.
Mayor, Madam and Alicia, I'm not going to call you your last name because I don't want to be put on the spot and said that I'm abusing you because I'm not saying it right. So can I call you Madam Alicia instead?
Her first name is actually Elisa.
Okay, first of all,
oh my God.
First of all, I did not provide the floor to either. I'm just waiting out of courtesy to see if our Director of Corporate Services, Ms. Cradock, is verifying the budget to if it was 400,000 or if it's lower than 400,000.
It's 355 plus there was some carryover from last year of about 20,000 to finish the design.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll open the floor to see if there's any questions or points of clarification before we proceed with the resolution. Conseiller Yvon.
Merci, Madame Mayoress. Well, as Sean pointed out, the problem we're facing is the issues with respect to the pandemic that it's been occurring for 2 years. This matter has been brought up, as we recall, for the last 3-4 budget meetings with respect to the condition of the building. Now, the building itself, I had visited a couple of times, and it is in dire need of repairs. There's no question about it. The roof is leaking, the walls are are deteriorating at the bottom. It opens, with rotten holes and doors that are loose and whatnot. It provides an entry for any rodents that want to come into the building. It's very hard to repair because of the situation being so close to the ground. The building is in dire need of repairs. It could be subject to, it's a bothersome issue for the workers that are there that have to deal with these rodents. And I think it's something that we have to address fairly quickly. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, and it did bring the prices up, and we're looking at another increase because metal has increased threefold, as you all know, and like wood, like everything else. And it's just, we're in that dilemma. We're in that problematic situation. And I'm hoping that the council or councillors will help us get through with this and go ahead and construct this part of this section of the building, because it's well needed. And I'm just seeking council's support to go on with this project. So I'll thank you, Madame Medes. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councillor Deheim. I'll pass it on to Councillor Chris.
So I guess I have a question for Mr. Barbeau. Given that it is, significantly over budget, is that or perhaps it's Ms. Craddock, I'm not sure. Given that it is significantly over budget, is this something that we can absorb, and is it staff's recommendation that we go ahead with this? Thank you.
Yes, the fact that we have our tenders at this point is something. Obviously, it's an overage. There'll be some adjustments or whatever, but when you're looking at, it depends on the importance of things that can be pushed back, but I don't believe this project can be pushed back. I think that we're at a point where we need to get it done, and we will make adjustments accordingly.
Thank you.
Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'm in full support of this project. I brought this project along, I'd say, about 3 years ago. And what Councillor Yvon just mentioned about rodents coming into the building with the windows and doors closed, I had brought that up 3 years ago. And at the time, Councillor around the table was saying there's nothing wrong. I went and inspected it myself. So here we are today at a cost of $600,000, and it has to be done. I think we definitely got to do it for the safety of our workers, and also let's support Verner. There's no representative around the table for Verner, so let's all pull together and let's get this done for Verner. Thank you.
Conseiller Leo.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I totally agree with the project. Like it was said before, it's a health and safety issue, and let's get it done. I agree. Thank you.
Conseiller Dan.
As everybody is aware, construction costs are going up. Anybody that's building right now will know that the costs have gone up substantively. At the last meeting, we talked about the fire master plan, and we had a deliberation on it. It would have an impact on some communities if we started doing things like co-locating or starting to, even we talked about the master plan. So by saying that, if we were to not vote for this today, we would have a negative impact on our imprint, our public works imprint throughout the community. And Verner would not get their fair share. Again, we must be supporting people that, like Councillor Rowley well said, let's help, let's make sure that this does not become a political issue and that we support the people of Verner. Saying so, I think if we do not approve it, there is going to be, excuse me, there's going to be a health and safety issue, because if it's as bad as we think it is, and everybody's saying around the table, we could be subject to having an issue with that. So I'm totally for the project, and the overrun, unfortunately, it's going to have a negative impact. However, those things happen when we delay things, and I think we delayed this a little too long. So I'm totally for it.
Conseiller Denis?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Question for Mr. Demiao. The project includes, in addition to the present garage, I assume.
Correct.
Okay. How is that affecting the health and safety of our employees? Why can't we just put the money in fixing up the garage that we have? And at a later date, we can think about the addition that they need, which is not pressing as far as I'm concerned. The pressing matter is to keep the employees safe. And we could fix that building at a reasonable price. And I don't think we should be spending another 200,000. And if I give the example of the wood that was selling for $100 is now back down to $20. So there might be savings down the road. So I think to be financially wise, we should maybe wait. So it's not that pressing, and we can fix the part that is pressing at this moment with the 400 that we have, I'm sure. So that's my only comment. Thank you.
So based on your comment, Conseiller Denis,
Yes.
is it possible to find out of the proposed quotation, 600 and nearly 19,000, how much of that portion is to fix the actual building percentage-wise, and how much is for the expansion? Because it was a dual project for renos and also for expansion. So do we know how much of this quotation is for the actual renos to deal with the health and safety issue?
We have a lump sum pricing for exterior cladding, which would stop the rodents for $38,600. That the rest is we're looking at lump sum line items. Now, if I may add to Councillor Denise Senecal's comment, it's more than just the 3 bays that need repairing. While those 3 bays are under repair, where are we going to house our public works employees? That would be my first question back. My second comment would be when we deal with, and we talked about public works efficiencies and response times, and when we deal with significant snowstorms and our employees are on their backs in the snow at -30 doing pre-trips. We are in 2021 and weather is not getting any better. That significantly impacts our response time, and it impacts the thoroughness probably of the pre-trip. If an employee has a good, safe, and healthy work environment, he will definitely do better on his pre-trip inspection, and in turn, increase efficiencies and increase response times.
Conseiller Denis?
I agree with you. The health safety issue is a big issue, and the employees should be housed in a proper facility, that's for sure. But I just question the addition at this time. That's all I'm questioning. And we're looking at our buildings and efficiencies in our buildings. Is Verner the best place for that addition? You should look at that also at this time. So I understand you're putting the health and safety of the employees, but if we fix that garage, it shouldn't be an issue. And then we can talk about the addition. I mean, I'm not sure that the prices are going to stay up here, but eventually they'll go down when the contractors are a little slow in their work. They'll probably bring their prices down a little bit. So I just can't convince myself this the addition part is a pressing issue. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Our CEO, Mr. Barbo.
Well, those are all valid points about debating it, but it becomes a yes or no issue because this is a procurement issue. There are bids that were received. And so right now the structure is whether you accept the bid or you don't accept the bid.
Okay, but Conseiller Denis,
What you're saying is that if we don't accept the bid, we can just ask for tenders later on. That's all you're saying? Is that right?
That's right. If you're turning down the bid thinking you're going to do something else, that's how you're going to do it. But right now you don't have variations on what the scope of work, which is what was agreed upon originally.
At the lower price, yes. All right, thank you.
Conseiller Lise.
Well, I have a comment and I do have a question. My comment is, I don't know why some councillor put the word Verner, that we have to look after Verner, because I think we're doing our best and I do want to look after Verner also. And I find it je trouve vraiment ironique, le mot que je vais utiliser, que Verner est utilisé quand certains de nous autres veulent avoir quelque chose ou on ne veut pas avoir quelque chose, parce que je me souviens 2 fois on a parlé de quelque chose, puis c'était utilisé pour des votes non, parce qu'il n'y avait pas de représentant à la table. Fait qu'une chance qu'on ne fait pas toujours ça, parce qu'il y a bien des choses qui ne seraient pas passées. On a passé le budget. Le plus importante chose qu'on a comme conseiller, je crois, c'est notre budget municipal. Puis j'avais même pensé d'y penser, mais je trouvais que c'était ridicule parce qu'écoute, il n'est pas là, puis on va faire la décision, là. Mais ça, je trouve ça pas mal ironique que c'était apporté aujourd'hui pour ça. La deuxième question, je comprends que tout a augmenté. On a passé quand notre budget, juste me rafraîchir la mémoire?
Au mois de mai.
OK. Puis ma question est, quand on envoie pour des RFI ou pour des codes, je ne sais pas, là, il y a différentes choses là, que c'est qui est envoyé là. Comment longtemps qu'on garde ça? Parce que là, c'est des prix basés de 3 ans passés. Avant, qui avait été l'année passée ou quelque chose de même. Fait que c'est comment longtemps... la question est demandée à M. Remillard. M. Dan, j'étais peut-être pas d'accord, mais tu as eu le temps de parler. J'ai le droit de parler aussi, s'il vous plaît, M. le conseiller Dan. Sean, quand tu envoies comme là, tu dis que le prix était là quand ça avait été fait l'année passée, ou tu as mentionné l'année passée ou l'année d'avant. Je ne sais pas quand là, exactement. Là. Comment longtemps que tu gardes les prix? Si quelqu'un t'a donné, moi, j'aurais voulu faire une bâtisse de maison l'année prochaine, j'aurais demandé un prix, puis j'aurais pas, je savais que ça augmentait parce qu'on savait là, que ça aurait augmenté. Puis je ne dis pas que j'ai un problème d'accepter là, on n'est pas du contrôle de c'est quoi qui augmente. Mais pour moi, je veux savoir, c'est quand, si tu as envoyé une chose, on savait que ça l'avait augmenté, puis on savait que ça... Je veux dire, on aurait dû savoir que ça aurait été augmenté pendant le temps du budget, que c'était plus 350 ou 400 000, que ça aurait été beaucoup plus. Parce qu'on n'avait pas, on avait le temps de demander pour un autre prix pour savoir exactement ce que ça nous aurait coûté. Je pense. Les commentaires, questions, M. Remillard, s'il vous plaît.
Through you, Madam Mayor. So on January 19th, 2021, I requested that specific question from our consultant, Granville B. Vickerman and Associates, and his total contract cost came back at $355,000, which is exactly what I had on the budget.
Okay, so thank you, Sean. Through you, Madam Mayor, can I ask another question?
Yes, you may proceed.
So, Sean, thank you very much. But why do they can change their mind? Was it a clause that if the price go up? Because usually when you get a price, there's a certain amount of time that you have to respect it. And
so, through you, Madam Mayor, Granville Vickerman is our consultant. He is not the contractor. So when basically budget operations are a guess, right? Or you deal with historical values that you bring forward and you sometimes put an increase on historical values. So this is what the consultant probably gave us. Historically, a building of this type would cost X amount. He bumps it up by 10, 15%. You know, and you know, it brings a good point because when you get into budgeting, we can inflate budgets. They'll always be under, you know, and historically, you'll notice that Public Works, we have not been gouging, but we also haven't been significantly under budget. We are in a pandemic. We have to understand that, had we predicted this pandemic, then absolutely, I probably wouldn't be working here if I was able to predict this pandemic. But, so it's an unfortunate part, but to be honest, should it happen again, I don't think that there's anything we could do differently, Councillor Lees. Regretfully, that's all I can, that's the only thing I have, sorry.
Madam Mayor, can I reply to that? Not reply, but whatever you say it the right way. Can I?
Please proceed.
Okay. Monsieur Remillard, I understand perfectly what you're saying. I just asked a specific question because, I mean, if we didn't, I think maybe in the future to avoid that, we could maybe look a little bit further, and because we knew that we're going up, and maybe look at a contractor. I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree. The project was accepted. It's gonna have to be done. But I mean, I think my question that were very valid, because I mean, that's what we were proposed in January, and even we accepted that, but it was a May or April or May that we accepted that. And a consultant, I can agree with that. They know what they're doing, but I mean, you should have known. Somebody should have known that how much increase is going on too, and put maybe 25-30%, which was not. There's an almost double, not double, but there's a big difference. It's not just $40,000. So that's okay. I accept your explanation was very good. Thank you, Sean. I know it's not your fault, and I wish you could have been able to predict that COVID, because a lot of us would not have got it, would have stayed home before. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lise. I did have just maybe a few questions and a few comments pertaining to the subject matter. I just want to make sure that the Public Works Yard in Sturgeon Falls, do they have specific bays for all equipment that is being used by all the workers?
Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor. The equipment for a full deployment is stationed inside. At times, we're going to have mechanical failures or whatever, where we're forced to brush off some equipment that's left outside. But for the most part, equipment is inside and ready for deployment.
Okay. And with the expansion that's being proposed along with the repairs for the Verner garage, does that mean how many equipment is not stored in a bay for deployment, and what change will it provide to the actual workers pertaining to the equipment?
So all fully deployment will be parked inside and ready to pre-trip and ready to deploy.
OK. Parce que comme c'est là, est-ce qu'on a beaucoup d'équipement qui est à l'extérieur?
Trois. We have un grader et deux plow trucks.
Okay. Puis, just as a point of information for members of council, initially the discussions had to do with renos, well, basically had to do with an expansion, but then there's also been issues identified with the condition of the building since. We did invest money on that building in doing the renovations, for the office and the kitchen and facilities that are being used by the workers. I still ask, do we know out of the $620,000 that's being proposed, how much is being dedicated for the expansion?
As I said, the exterior cladding is all that's going to be addressed, right? With the 618. But when the crews are on site, then we will hire them to fix the leaky roof. And once the leaky roof is fixed and the exterior cladding is repaired, the rodents will stop coming in, and obviously we'll stop the leaky roof.
Okay.
So it's.
Je peux-tu peut-être demander la question en français, or the exterior cladding, ça c'est la charpente de la bâtisse extérieure pour la longe, parce qu'on doit bâtir des murs puis une nouvelle toiture pour la longe.
Oui, mais on va aussi faire réparer la pourriture là, en bas du mur. Là,
OK.
où est-ce que les souris rentrent, là, ça.
Puis ça, c'est un mur du garage.
Non, ben, on va réparer tout, évidemment. On peut, parce que il est pourri comme à grandeur. Toute la base du garage, on va réparer tout.
OK.
C'est ça qui est l'idée.
Je veux juste faire certain de bien comprendre, c'est tous les murs du garage qui sont pourris?
On change pas, on va juste arranger la base qui est pourrie.
OK, non, mais je pense que la question est, est-ce que la base est toute pourrite alentour de la bâtisse?
Certains endroits sont mieux que d'autres, mais il y en a beaucoup de pourris.
Okay. So we had the resolution, we had a mover and a seconder. Is there any other questions pertaining to the subject matter? Conseiller Rowley?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And also, I could attest that if you're going to do a circle check with a vehicle inside, you can see all the wear and tear on the steel, the cracks, leaf springs broken, outside, all full of snow and ice. It's hard to detect. It's a safety issue also. So it will be a plus on each way you look at it. Thank you.
Conseiller Dan?
I'd like a recorded vote, please.
Certainly, no problem. Are there further questions, just to make sure? Okay, before I do have one final question pertaining to the financing. Since the budget that we have, that we dedicated for 355, what is the proposed plan on how we will finance the increase of the project? Because we are looking like maybe $250,000 in that range. So where are we going to take the money from? Do I direct it to our CEO, Mr. Barbo?
Through you, Madam Mayor, we have a $29 million budget, and so we have overages and under. I've asked Sean or Mr. Remillard, I've asked Mr. Remillard how he's doing on other files. Some have come in under, others have come in, slightly over or on par. We always get different sources of revenue. So at worst case scenario, it would be taken at reserve, but the final accounting would only be done at the end of the year.
Okay, so it's understood it's going to come out of reserve, and depending on, no?
Well, in a roundabout way, Madam Mayor, in the sense that surpluses go to reserve. And so what it would be, obviously, is there'd be less of a surplus this year by that amount. So let's say we have a surplus of $500,000, we'd be looking at a surplus of about 380 or 370 instead, or 280, 270 instead. And so
Okay.
It all comes up to the same amount.
So, no, but I mean, right now it's going to come out of our regular budget that was budgeted for 2021. And that means at the end of the year, whatever was left in surplus, well, then we know that the deduction will be awarded towards this project. So our surplus is going to be less. So we're not going into reserves right away. Is that correct?
That is
Okay.
correct.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to pass it back to the clerk if there's no further questions to proceed with the recorded vote.
Councillor Duhaime,
Yes.
Councillor Fisher,
Yes.
Councillor Larrabee,
Yes, yes, yes.
Councillor Mallette,
Yes.
Councillor Ravita,
Yes.
Councillor Denise Senecal,
You are on mute, Conseiller Denis.
Sorry, no.
Councillor Lee Senecal,
You are on mute, Conseiller Lise.
Yes,
Mayor Joanne Savage,
Yes.
Merci tout le monde. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome and have a great day.
Madame Vanessa, if I can
Yes,
make
Conseiller Yvon?
Sean brought up the issue with respect to, we were talking about or you brought it up, I'm sorry, Madame Vanessa, the town garage in Sturgeon Falls here. And I've at one time visited that area as well. So the same thing is happening here as is happening in Verner. So I'm just forewarning the council here that in the next many years or few years, we'll be doing the same thing for the Sturgeon Falls garage. And I'm not going to disagree with John, but I am on this one. We do need a couple of more bays for our mechanics. So
Okay.
So hopefully
We're getting
we get a
into
project there.
We're getting into subject matter, Conseiller Yvon. I know that he's
But
doing
I'm-
a lot of PR for Public Works.
Like Rowley said, he predicted it 3 years ago.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? We finished the subject matter and looking forward to our upcoming budget and upcoming projects. Maintenant, on procède avec les cotations pour les structures de jeu for playground structure. And we have the information that was provided to us, and I see that our Director of Community Services and ECDEV, Mr. Poulin, is here. So I'll pass it on to you if you
So
want to walk.
the planner, the clerk is.
Resolution.
Pardon?
Banana resolution. Madame.
Is there a mover and a seconder? Conseiller Chris? Conseiller Leo?
It is moved by Council Fisher and seconded by Council Mallette. Whereas requests for proposal for the construction of new municipal playground and remedial work were opened on July 27th, 2021 by the project manager of community services and the director of community services. And whereas one quotation was received, and whereas the quotation has been reviewed by the project manager of community services, and the award being recommended herein consists of the best prices meeting all of the specifications. And whereas council concurs with the recommendation received, be it therefore resolved that the quotation for the construction of new municipal playground and remedial work in the municipality of West Nipissing be awarded to CRCS Recreation, having submitted the lowest quotation of $243,311 plus HST, meeting all specifications.
Thank you. And I'll pass it on to Monsieur Poulin to walk us through the documentation that was provided to us.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Without going through the entire package of information, I think everyone's had the information for some time now. The memo is self-explanatory. I've also included scope of work for each of the playgrounds being proposed, some design features, and also some renderings of some of the equipment that the company is proposing. The one thing I would like to add is we went back to the company that did submit a quote to ensure the price wouldn't go up, because we were scheduled to award this a couple of weeks ago, and they've assured us that we're not looking at additional costs. The other thing is once we award the contract, most of the equipment will be 12 weeks minimum for delivery. So I think it's safe to say that some of the equipment or most of the equipment will not be installed this year. That being said, it will be ordered, so it will be in so that we can get the work completed in the spring of 2022. And also the company has assured us that they will try to get all the civil work completed at all the playgrounds as required. Obviously, relocating some of the equipment from the field, the existing playground, to the new site can also be done this year. So we'll work with the contractor to get as much done this year. But obviously, with a 12-week minimum window for the equipment to be delivered, I think it's safe to say that not all the equipment will be installed in 2021.
Okay, thank you. I'll do a roundtable to see if there's any questions. Conseiller Yvon.
I've worked 13 years in the recreation department, and I know the conditions of our playground situation is not good. And it's time that we invested in proper equipment, and I do agree that we should go ahead with these projects for the betterment of the community and the kids that use them and the safety. So I would recommend that we go ahead and go ahead with this project. So I thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Councillor Chris?
What Councillor Duhaime said, perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Conseiller Rowley?
I totally agree with what Councillor John just said there. I'm in favor of everything. Thank you.
Conseiller Leo?
Yes, I'm totally in agreement. Thank you.
Conseiller Dan?
Yes, I totally agree. However, I just have a question for staff. For one setup, is it around $75,000?
Well, for our playgrounds, it varies from playground to playground. Like, for example, in Living, we're building a brand new playground from scratch.
Yeah.
For Janet Street and Piette and Leblanc, we're actually removing equipment that's no longer safe, and we're replacing it with new equipment. So it's not 75 per. It's a variation from park to park.
Okay.
And in field, that's a different one as well, where we're actually taking equipment that still can be utilized and moving it from one playground to the next, but then we have to build the new playground area on our municipal lot and field. So it varies from playground to playground, but a new playground being built from scratch is anywhere between 65 and 75,000. Yeah.
Thank you. As a supplement to that, Madam Mayor, the point being is that since we've put this on the agenda, I've been approached by other areas or in the community requesting for a playground. So I'm glad that you gave me that number, because it makes it much easier to discuss when I talk to these individuals. So thank you. Keep up the good work, staff. I totally agree. Yeah, thanks.
Conseiller Denis?
I agree, Madam Mayor.
Conseiller Alice?
Mute.
You are on mute, Conseiller Alice.
You.
Am I okay now?
Yes.
So just for clarification, are we using the Monsieur, Madame, or whatever today, or we're waiting because we all not doing it? Don't want to make a mistake. So is it as of today, like is?
Let's keep in mind as far as decorum and like I stated a while ago, procedures, we can discuss at our next meeting.
Okay, Monsieur Poulin, I'll start practicing that. Okay, so yes, I'm in agreement that that we go for it. It's $8,000, and it's stated in the memo that probably will be able to be funded from special projects. So I don't have an issue to make it happen. And obviously, if there's other municipality or other group that wants playground equipment, they will have the budget is coming fast anyway. So I'm sure the request will be put on the table. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. I did have just maybe a few questions. Good news that for the all the work that we want to do in the new playgrounds, it's slightly 8,000 over budget. So that's good. I just wanted to just take quick questions to our Director of Community Services, Mr. Poulin. For the issue of field, you made reference for relocating the playground to a municipal lot, but then we're going to be spending $75,000. That's what we awarded for that playground for field. So is it going to be $75,000 to relocate the playground, or $75,000 for relocation and upgrades to the equipment?
So for field, we're on our municipal lot. We do have to, there's civil work that needs to be done. We have to provide access like an entryway, and then we have to basically take off some of the topsoil and have proper sand built come in, and then we have to rebuild the walls around the playground. Then we take the existing equipment and then we relocate that into the new and have it installed. So it's a combination of both.
Okay. And the actual work that needs to get done, are we going to be able to use our own employees, our own resources to get that done? Or is it going to be this company that's going to be doing it?
I believe for the field lot, there is some civil work that our public works crew will undertake. But the bringing of sand and the building of the wall and whatnot, that company does it all.
Okay, okay. And can I ask a question pertaining to the images that were in our package? Okay, and I'm just wondering if these are going to be new structures that are being added to some playgrounds. It was maybe after the diagram where we can see the Leving proposed project. There were a combination of photos after. The swing where you see a toddler and an adolescent, is that going to be added to some of our playgrounds?
Yes, that was part of our request when we submitted the RFP, is that there was equipment that is accessible friendly, and there's also equipment for parents and young toddlers, like really young children. So
yeah,
those are some of the examples of the equipment that the company is proposing.
Okay, and that's cool because I remember we had that discussion a few years ago where I brought that up. Are we going to be incorporating that? Which playground is this equipment going? Is it going to be going to all the playgrounds that we're spending money this year?
I don't have that specifically. I'd have to go back to the company and see which piece is being delivered at which playground.
Okay. Okay, well, I would hope there's consideration for each of our playgrounds because I know that there was an appetite by our residents to incorporate that type of structure where it could be combo for all and not just for one playground. And then we get subsequent requests for playgrounds that we're spending money in. So we don't know exactly where it's going at this point.
Do I just don't personally know. I'd have to go back and look at the plans closer, but I think that Johnny Belanger, who's been leading this project through, I'm sure he knows, but I just don't have that information for you today.
Okay, is it possible that the information can be sent to all members of council after this meeting?
Sure, as long as the award of the contract can be done today, because I wouldn't want to.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about delaying the award of the contract.
Council wants to know which playground equipment is going.
Well, there's one specific, and the one that you made reference, there's no name to it, but that was an issue that was discussed a few years ago to see if we could incorporate this in each playground. And council of the day had agreed, but we never put it down formally. So that's why I'm asking the question right now. Okay, so that would be appreciated. I can follow up with that question after our meeting to find out where it's going. Okay. So we're going to be coming back to the resolution pertaining to awarding the contract. We know that the equipment will not be installed. It takes a minimum of projected time 12 weeks. For the receipt and the installation. So part of the equipment is going to be installed in 2022. But the legwork that's required, a lot of it can be done this year. Would that be correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So any objections to the awarding of the contract to be able to proceed for all the playground structures and new playgrounds and relocation and upgrades to existing playgrounds as per the resolution? Aucune objection? None? Carried, adopted. Okay, we move on to F5, bylaw amendments, enforcement provision pertaining to off-road and pertaining to motorized snow vehicles. So we have two amendments to adopt. Would need a mover and a seconder for 5I. Councillor Yvonne, Councillor Chris.
It is moved by Councillor Duhaime and seconded by Councillor Fisher. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2021-59 being a bylaw to amend 2011-64 to regulate the use of off-road vehicles ORV, ATV, and UTV within the municipality of West Nipissing shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Any questions or comments? Okay, so the amendment is, would need a mover and is a 10-minute, no, excuse. The amendment is for the enforcement portion, has nothing to do with changing the accessibility of where they can travel within the community. And within the community, well, then there's the primary roads downtown where there's prohibition, où ce que sont identifiés, où ce qui n'ont pas accès à pouvoir se promener, et en même temps on sidewalks. So are there any objections? Aucune objection. None. Carried. Adopted. The next one for 5.2 to amend the motorized snow vehicle bylaw. Mover and a seconder. Conseiller Yvon, Conseiller Leo.
It is moved by Councillor Duhaime and seconded by Councillor Mallette. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2021-60 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2011-65 to regulate the operation of motorized snow vehicles within the West Nipissing municipality shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Okay, here again, it's the enforcement portion to identify OPP on the bylaw, and there's no changes to the route circulation as far as accessibility. And at the same time, the same guidelines de qu'est-ce qui est accordé ou pas accordé en fait d'utilisation pour les motoneiges. Are there any questions or comments? None. Any objections? Aucune objection. None. Carried. Adopted. Is dealing with F6, temporary full closure of Highway 539 and 805 for the 2022-2023 construction season. Mover and a seconder. Conseiller Rowley, Conseiller Chris.
It is moved by Councillor Larrabee and seconded by Councillor Fisher. Whereas at a meeting of council held on July the 13th, 2021, the Ministry of Transportation through its consultants, BM Wills Engineering Limited and LEA Consulting Limited, presented a detailed design study outlining certain upgrades to be carried out on highways 539 and 805 in the year 2022 and 2023. And whereas the proposed upgrades to the highways include the replacement and rehabilitation of multiple culverts along highways 539 and 805, and whereas it anticipated that temporary traffic delays and single lane closures will occur at most of the locations, however, temporary full closures of highways 539 and 805 are necessary in order to complete multiple rapid culvert replacements between River Valley and Warren as follows. Highway 539, 3 weeks full closure Monday to Friday, reopening on weekends in the summer of 2022, and Highway 805, 1 week full closure Monday to Friday, reopening on weekends, spring 2023. And whereas the consultant and contractor have will ensure that local residents will be notified and that emergency services will be consulted and notified prior to the highway closures so as to ensure the safety and security of residents is maintained at all times during the temporary full highway closures. And whereas the temporary full closures of highways 539 and 805 will be scheduled during the years 2022 or 2023 construction seasons with detours to be clearly identified. And whereas the consultants are seeking concurrence from the West Nipissing municipality to the proposed temporary full closures of highways 539 and 805 over multiple weeks, excluding weekends, in order to complete the rapid culvert replacements. Be it therefore resolved that West Nipissing municipality is agreeable to the temporary full closure of highways 539 and 805 over multiple weeks, excluding weekends, for the rapid culvert replacements, conditional that all residents are notified and that coordination with emergency services is undertaken with the contractor consultant to ensure the safety and security of residents is maintained at all times during the closure, and then that appropriate detour signage will be in place.
Are there any questions or comments? I think we had an excellent presentation from the delegation at a previous meeting, and they've addressed all the concerns, or at least all the concerns that had been identified by members of council, and also the assurance of the notification of the affected residents within the area when the construction work is going to take place. Conseiller Broley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, definitely, I'm in favor of this. This is going to be a little bit of pain, but a big gain at the end. So definitely, thank you.
Yes, and I think the assurance that they gave us as well, you know, they looked at every way of trying to mitigate, like Conseil Rowley said, the pain to the residents that are being affected by the area where the construction is going to be taking place. Okay. Any objections? Aucune objection? None? Carried, adopté. Item F7, renew agreement with Nipissing Parry Sound Student Transportation Services. Require a mover and a seconder. Mover and a seconder. Conseiller Chris, Conseiller Denis.
As moved by Councillor Fisher and seconded by Councillor Denise Senecal. Be it resolved that the mayor and the director of corporate services be authorized to sign a school bus transfer site agreement with the Nipissing Parry Sound Student Transportation Services.
Any questions or comments? Okay, we're renewing an agreement, and I think we also had a note that did identify that the increase in liability insurance was brought up to 5 million from the previous 2 million. And also that the additional request for a transfer site at the North Bonnetville Community Center, 172 passenger bus and a 29 passenger bus. So based on what we have as far as resolution, was there any concerns from administration or any additional information that administration wanted to share with council before proceeding with the resolution?
Everything's fine then.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments from members of council? Okay, just a very quick question, and c'est juste par curiosité. Pourquoi est-ce que la résolution identifie que l'entente est signée avec le maire et le directeur des services de corporation et non notre administrateur de la municipalité? Was it like that in the past? It's just my personal curiosity because like it's subject to renewal for 3 years, but when we did accept the agreement 3 years ago, okay, I'll pass it to our clerk.
It appears that, the Student Transportation Services prepared the agreement and they prepared it with that sort of signatures.
Okay, no problem. It was just by curiosity. Okay, are there any other questions or comments? None. Any objections? Aucune objection? None. Carried. Adopté. Okay, the next one, do we have a resolution for the subject matter pertaining to support for the motion M84 anti-hate crimes and incidents and Bill C-313? We do. Is there a mover and a seconder? Conseiller Yvon, Conseiller Chris.
It is moved by Councillor Duhaime and seconded by Councillor Fisher. On behalf of the over 14,000 residents in our municipality, the mayor and council of the West Nipissing municipality endorse MP Peter Julian's private member's motion M84 anti-hate crimes and incidents in his private member's bill C-313 banning symbols of hate act.
Okay, discussion. Conseiller Yvon.
I mean, it's obvious that I'm supporting the bill. There's no question about it, and we all know why. So I'm supporting it wholeheartedly. I'm not going to go into debate because we all know why this is needed.
Okay, but I just want to make sure if there's any comments or any questions pertaining to what's being proposed. Thank you, Conseiller Yvon. Conseiller Chris.
I have no comments. Thank you.
Okay, Conseiller Rowley.
No comments, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Conseiller Leo.
I'm fine, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah,
Conseiller Denis.
No comments, Madam Mayor.
Conseiller Alice.
Madam Mayor, you missed the conseiller Dan.
My apologies, Conseiller Dan.
Thank you, Councillor Lees, for bringing it up. This is not the first time. Thank you. I agree.
Excuse me, Conseiller Dan, you know what? It was not an intentional error. No need to be sarcastic with any remarks. Thank you. Conseiller Lise?
Well, you know, Madam Mayor, if I would have known, I would have not said nothing because it was just.
Conseiller Lise, let's focus on the subject matter.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Okay, what was the question? If I was in agreement with that bylaw, that support?
With the
Yes, I am.
resolution.
Yes, I am for sure, 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Tu lis la version en français, Madame Mélis?
Okay, I'm just, it was brought to my attention that part of the resolution, there's a portion in French. Is it okay if I read that portion? Au nom d'au-delà des 14 000 résidents à notre municipalité, le maire et le conseil de la municipalité de Nipissing-West appuient la motion d'initiative parlementaire du député Peter Julian, la motion M84 contre les crimes et incidents haineux et son projet de loi d'initiative parlementaire Bill C-313, loi interdisant les symboles de haine. Any objections? None? Carried, adopted.
Merci.
Okay, we proceed to F9, the exemption to no cut policy, Lalonde Road. Is there a mover and a seconder for the proposed resolution? Conseiller Leo, Conseiller Chris.
It is moved by Councillor Millet and seconded by Councillor Fisher. Whereas at a meeting held on August the 17th, 2021, Council received requests from Jason Garzo, Pierre Duquesne, and Melissa Carmichael seeking authorization for exemptions from the Municipal No-Cut Policy 2009-268 in order to proceed with the installation of natural gas services to their homes located on Lalonde Road in Sturgeon Falls. Be it therefore resolved that Council authorizes an exemption of the West Nipissing Municipality No-Cut Policy 2009-268 in order to proceed with the installation of natural gas services at 804, 865, and 871 Lalonde Road in Sturgeon Falls.
Okay, do we have our Manager of Public Works still available to discuss the issue or answer questions pertaining to what's being proposed? Mr. Ramiel? No? Okay. Well, I'm going to start off to see if there's any questions. So I'll do a round table and hopefully we either have Mr. Ramiel or our CEO, Mr. Barbeau, online to be able to address any questions that do surface. Conseiller Yvon?
Apparently, the portion that was to be cut on the road was approximately 6 inches of pavement. So we're not looking at going beyond that portion into the middle of the road or somewhat. I know there's a no-cut policy, and I know it's happened in the past, but in this particular situation, I wouldn't have any problem. Thank you, Madame Mélis.
Okay, thank you, Conseiller Yvon. We'll proceed with Conseiller Chris.
As long as it can be torpedoed, and I think it can because there's no water on that street, so I have no problem. Thank you.
Okay, Conseiller Leo.
Madam Mayor, Councillor Rowley first before.
Okay, but you know what? I just gave you the floor. Just give your opinion, and I'll proceed to Conseiller Rowley after.
Okay, that's fine. Yes, I agree with it, and I think it was for the service for new homes, I believe. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rimiard is back on, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Barbeau. I think the question that I wanted to ask is, A, was there any concerns? B, we're looking at a no cut pertaining to a road that was rehabilitated within the last 5 years. When was the work done? So this way council has the information to proceed with their decision.
Okay. Bear with me.
No worries.
LeBlanc Lalonde, 2018, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so that would have been 3 years ago. Okay. Do you have any concerns as our manager of public works based on what the request is? No, but I mean, as far as concerns, like when there are requests that do come in, I'm sure that it's reviewed as per your department. And I do know that this policy is to be able to protect the lifespan of our roads, mostly the investment that we put into our roads. Are there any issues of concern based on the request and based on the fact that I'm hearing that we're going to be cutting 6 inches at 3 different locations, or is it at one location?
To the best of my knowledge, at this point, they were going to try and localize it to one location, shoot across the road, and then run off the asphalt to service the 3 homes. Now, I think there's a 3rd or a 4th on the petition now that, and I don't think his property is close to there. So you'd probably be looking at the same kind of strip of asphalt. And when you're dealing with 6 inches at the edge of road, it's less concerning than a full road cut or in the wheel path of traveling vehicles, right? As soon as you start cutting in the wheel path, that's when we get potholes. And so a 6-inch strip is not as concerning. Of course, I'm a big proponent of this policy. You know, the less we can cut our new roads, the better. But again, that's, I guess, why we have it in the policy that council has the authority to authorize exemptions.
Will we be asking a deposit from to ensure that if there are repairs required after the work was performed, up to the 5 years, are the affected residents going to be required to provide a deposit?
Yes, I would strongly recommend sticking to the policy. It is in the policy that we do retain a kind of a security. Should the cut deteriorate over time, we then have the security monies to do the repairs. Now, this one's a little bit tricky because it's kind of a blanket exemption where we're exempting 3, or, you know, do we want to, so first off, do we hold the security from the landowners, or do we hold the security from the gas company, which I haven't even negotiated with, so I'm not sure that they would even entertain granting the municipality security for their cut. I'll you know, first and foremost, let's get security before we cut, but I would take direction from council whether you want me to retain the security from the 3 individuals or try and retain the security from the gas company.
Okay, so is the question being directed to council on which option to proceed as far as security, gas company, or the affected individuals that submitted the request?
To council or even the CAO if he wants to chime in.
Okay. So before continuing, excuse.
I'll let Sean reply unless was there something there that I missed that requires my reply, or?
No, Jay, my only question was, in our policy, it says that we retain a security for 3 years and potentially 5 years if the cut would deteriorate. Now, this is kind of a blanket exemption for 3 individual properties, but we're doing it all on as one kind of cut. So who do we hold the security from? The gas company or the 3 individuals split evenly amongst the 3?
The liability is with the 3 individuals. So we divide it 3. Yeah.
Okay. I agree. Okay. Thank you. I have direction.
Okay, so that means security will be requested by the residents, and it's going to be split amongst the 3. Okay. So Councillor Yvon had discussed. Now I think Councillor Chris was fine. We were up to Councillor Broley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, my question to Sean would be, are those all new built homes?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you. Mr. Sean. Since it's 6 inch, it's not in the wheel path. Yes, I would be in favor of granting them an exemption, and if there's a deposit also guaranteeing the job will be done the right way. If there's anything, money will be there. So yes, let's work with the people for them to have that service. Thank you.
Okay. Conseiller Dan?
I think it's Councillor Millet's turn.
I just gave you the floor, so just proceed, Conseiller Dan, and I'll give the floor after to Conseiller Leo.
I had to take it off of mute. I had the chance to go down the road and I did see they're all new builds. That's confirmed. It's part of economic development in the sense that people are building on that road. The security issue was going to be my question to you, and I'm glad that you brought that to the table and that it's going to be enforced by the bylaw. And the CEO saying that it's going to be for the three individuals for the cost. But the fourth person, they're going to be asked for security also, eh, Mr. Remiel?
Yes.
So, thank you. So I totally agree with it. I think that we don't want to stifle new builds and new build.
Thank you, Conseiller Dan. Based on the comment of Conseiller Dan, are we adding the fourth person to the resolution, or is that going to be another different resolution that's going to come in September? Do we have a fourth address to add?
Okay, I am not 100% if it was a fourth or it was one builder with two properties, but maybe Melanie can correct me. Is there four requests, or is it a total of three?
No, there is a three, Madam Chair. There is a fourth that came in after this agenda was set. It's actually an existing dwelling on the opposite side of the road that would like to avail themselves of this same opportunity if the gas is coming down.
Okay. Assuming that this fourth address can get the work done at the same time, I don't know. Do we deal with it as a separate request? So I'm asking direction here to our CEO, Mr. Barbeau.
It's a second cut. It's a second, they're independent requests with independent, they would have independent security that they would put in. If there's one cut for three, that's one thing. If there's two cuts and it's an individual one, it has to be dealt with separate. So it will be on next week's agenda.
Okay, thank you. So we're dealing specifically with the addresses on the resolution. Okay, thank you. Conseiller Leo.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. No, that was my comment about the fourth one, and that's okay. Thank you.
Okay, Conseiller Denis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sean and Mr. Remiel, how big is the cut? 6 inch all the way down, or just 6 by 6? Or?
To my knowledge, through you, Madam Chair, to my knowledge, they only need to get down to the gas main. Then they tap a T on the main. So it would only be if the main, usually they'll excavate down at a 1-to-1. So they'll need about a meter of main. If the main is a meter down, you're looking at probably a 3-meter length by 6 inches. But again, if the main is 10 feet down, then they're obviously a lot wider at the surface. But what the gas company has told us is that because the main is not even under the asphalt, it's on the shoulder, but by the time they excavate down, they're going to have to take some of the edge of road. So I would probably, if I was to guess, no more than 3 meters by 6 inches by they're requested.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Remiel. I don't know, it's a catch-22 here. Do we go with the policy, or do we keep going on an individual basis? But we do have a policy, and I'm inclined to follow the policy, unfortunately. These are new bills. They should have known that there's a no cut, and they should have been known about the issue. So I'm going to say follow the policy. So I'm against it.
Thank you, Conseiller Denis. Conseiller Lise.
Well, you know, I'm just thinking that a few meetings ago, we had a request on, it's Salter Street now, it used to be Michaud Road, and it was for the same thing. They can do, and I did spoke with the resident because we did approve one after that. I did not vote for it. And I will not support that tonight because we didn't treat, I don't think that that person was treated fair, was not offered to pay the down. And it was for the same thing, and it was not for replacement. He had no the furnace was broken. They had to replace it. It's the same for them. They would have access to other things, but they're saying they prefer, and I do understand because gas is cheaper to use. So I mean, the other one, and he had spoke to a couple of counselor about it, and I mean, they were the same thing. He wanted to do the same thing, and now he's gonna have to pay Union Gas do it too if he wants to have it. And I mean, I cannot vote for that because we did not support the other one, and I believe that we're creating a precedent. And I mean, since then, I think we saw many like in the last couple of months, and we do have a policy. And if we start with 6 inch, then the other one's going to go to 8 or 10 or whatever, as long as we can offer everybody the same thing. And if that person would have been offered to, and I mean, nobody should, I don't think anybody's concerned around the table because I mean, most of you guys approve it, and I'll respect that, but I cannot support that. We're going against our policy, and we're not treating everybody the same way. Because that guy was not too long ago, and it was the same situation, and he was refused, was not even asked if he would be in agreement to pay what the down if there's damage after. And on top of that, I really think that it should be aware, anybody that's buying a building permit or a new development, they should be made aware when they're buying it. Be aware that whatever you're doing, if you have to go through a road, there's a cut policy. So that's just, I feel that need to be said, but I cannot support it because we're creating precedent. Not that I don't want to, but I like to treat people the same way. If we're voting for one, we're voting for everybody. Thank you.
Okay. So I do know that not, from what I've heard, not everyone is in agreement. So I'd like to be able to see a show of hands of those that support providing the exemption with a deposit that's going to be shared amongst the affected 3 residents. So a show of hands to allow the no cut policy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carried. Okay, so this does conclude our meeting, our special meeting for today. I just like to share with everyone just a reminder that for the first time, that pour la première fois, on va avoir l'autobus de clinique pour le vaccin. We'll have the mobile vaccine clinic bus that's going to be in Sturgeon Falls à la Caisse Alliance demain entre 9h30 et midi et demi. This will be tomorrow, Tuesday, between 9:30 and 12:30. And it'll be the first time that the bus is going to be seen here in town in Sturgeon Falls. And anyone that wishes to obtain the COVID vaccine are more than welcome to attend that meeting. Conseiller Rowley, attend that meeting. Sorry, not attend the meeting. Attend the location to get the vaccine. Conseiller Rowley?
You're on mute.
You are on mute. I cannot hear anything that you're saying.
Sorry. Okay. Do you have an idea which vaccine they're going to be providing? Is it Pfizer, Moderna, or both?
Right now, what they normally do is they carry both, because any youth from 12 to 17 can only get Pfizer, and normally at the vaccine clinics they have both.
Thank you.
Okay. So that concludes, and as identified on a previous email, there probably will be another special meeting that will be summoned, une autre réunion spéciale qui va être convoquée, specifically for the question that you asked earlier, Conseiller Broley, pertaining to the closed session meeting.
Thank you.
Okay? So is there a mover and a seconder pertaining to the resolutions to adjourn this meeting? Conseiller Chris, Conseiller Denis.
It is moved by Councillor Fisher and seconded by Councillor Denise Senecal. Yet resolved the bylaw number 2021-61 being a bylaw of the West Nipissing Municipality to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on the 30th of August 2021 shall come into force and take effect on the day it is passed.
Any objections? Aucune objection, none, carried, adopté.
It is moved by Councillor Fisher and seconded by Councillor Denise Senecal. Be it resolved that the special meeting of council held on August the 30th, 2021 be adjourned.
All in favor? Carried, adopté. Thank you. Merci.